Good morning, grade 11s. I'm sorry that this video is coming to you later than it normally does. I was trying to do something new and cool in YouTube Video Editor, and what I learned is that I don't get it and I don't know how to use it. So we're back to basics. This morning, I wanted to update you on two things. The first is that I had a couple of emails and instant messages yesterday from people who were concerned that they didn't get peer editing feedback on their point evidence analysis paragraph. If you did not yet receive any peer editing feedback, can you please go back to the discussion board and post again, alerting your classmates to the fact that you are still awaiting some feedback. I would also encourage the rest of you to please go back to that discussion board, even if you've already done your required number of peer edits. And please go back and see if there is anyone that is still waiting for some sort of peer editing from somebody else. I will absolutely look favorably on those people who do choose to go above and beyond to help others. If you have already met your requirements, please remember that you do have to peer edit somebody else's work as part of the course. But I would absolutely appreciate the extra efforts of somebody who did exceed the number of peer editing comments that they provided in order to help someone in need. Doing so just enables all of us to make our work better, to potentially improve our mark, and just helps us all to get where we need to be. So please consider going back and checking to see if there's somebody who still could use your help. If you are still awaiting that peer editing feedback, then absolutely take into consideration the feedback given to you by classmates if you receive some today. But also, if you want to reach out to friends or family to look over your work for you as well, you could go that route too. Please feel free to send me a page or email if you want clarification on what you should be doing next if you are still awaiting feedback. The next thing that I wanted to draw to your attention today is that over the next 3 days, we are going to be listening to a podcast and reading over the transcripts of a podcast that could be potentially triggering for some people. So the topic of the podcast is an extremely pervasive problem in Canada pertaining to missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. So if you're unfamiliar with this topic, basically what it relates to is the idea that Indigenous women and girls are targeted for kidnappings, for abuse, and murders at an alarmingly higher rate than any other population in Canada. So much so that CBC decided to take a single case of a missing and murdered Indigenous woman and turn it into a podcast to draw attention to this pervasive problem. So the title of the podcast that you're going to be listening to is called Missing and Murdered: Who Killed Alberta Williams? Alberta Williams was a woman who went missing and whose murder case was never solved. And she's representative of this community of missing and murdered Indigenous women whose cases do not end up getting solved, which is part of this systemic problem. Some people believe that the missing and murdered women's cases just don't get the police attention that they deserve. So CBC decided to take this particular case and develop it into a multi-episode podcast where they took a look at the details of her case. They interviewed members of her family and tried to put the pieces together to try to shed some light on the problem of missing and murdered Indigenous girls, as well as to try to help to solve the details of this particular case. So, as a result, we are looking at the details of a murder case that could be particularly bothersome for some people. You're going to be listening to details about the night that she went missing, the day that her body was discovered. You're going to be listening to interviews that could be potentially emotional with her parents, her family members. These are some potentially overwhelming topics. So what I really remind you of is that I need you to be advocates for your own mental health. If this is something that you're finding overwhelming and difficult to continue to listen to, absolutely come to me, send me an instant message or an email and let me know that you are struggling with the content. If you don't want to talk to me about it, I really encourage you to talk to friends, family, or another teacher about the things that we're talking about in class and how they're making you feel. Please remember that you also have access to a list of mental health resources in our newsfeed. If you take a look at the right-hand side of the newsfeed on the announcements page, You have a link there that will take you to some mental health resources as well. What I don't want you to do is struggle in silence if you are finding this particular topic to be challenging for you. You do not need to be struggling by yourself. So please reach out to me, reach out to someone that you know or trust, or do so anonymously. But if you are finding this burdensome, it does not need to be something that you are struggling with. You can absolutely come to me and let me know if you could use an alternate assignment because you are finding this just a little too stressful for your mental health. We could absolutely figure that out. So this is not something that you need to feel stress over. It is something that we can communicate about, but I do feel that I need to tell you that this could provide triggers for some people. So please tread with caution. The link for today's lesson can be found below. You're going to be listening to the podcast. You're going to be applying some of our note-taking skills that we've been using over the last couple of days to take notes while you're listening so that you understand the details of the case. And then you're going to be doing a reflection so that we are applying some understanding of literary analysis to the podcast as well. Please also don't forget that you do have some classmates who are still waiting for their point evidence analysis peer editing feedback as well. As usual, you know where to find me. You can send me an instant message or an email if you have any questions about what's going on in the course. If you're looking to get caught up and you need some help, I'm here. I hope you guys have a great day and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.